Friends, we are living in the end times. That doesn't mean it is the end of the world. What it means is that we are living in the times prior to the second coming of Jesus. There are many prophecies about the things that would take place at our times. Some of them are very simple, such as many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased, and so on. In fact, these two prophecies were given to Daniel the prophet in the 6th century BC with the introduction of personal computers, internet, smartphones, and the AI. The knowledge explosion that has taken place in the past 30 years is incomparable to anything prior in human history. And the people running to and fro points to the tremendous growth of the tourism industry in the recent decades. Then the Bible also speaks of an antichrist ruler that would rule the world for a period of 7 years before the return of Jesus. This is the new world order many world leaders are working on. And again, towards the end of those 7 years, there is a war that is predicted where the armies of certain nations surround Israel and fight against it. It also states that at that time, the river Euphrates will dry up to make way for the kings of the east, which already is happening. Then comes the second coming of Jesus. At this point, another incredible thing takes place. That is, all the dead people are made to live again, along with the ones that are left behind on the earth, to receive their good or bad rewards. Prophet Daniel recorded that as well. He wrote, "Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt." By the way, do you know that Daniel, who lived 500 years prior to Jesus, also predicted exactly when Jesus the Messiah would be sacrificed for the sins of humanity? And there are many such prophecies about our times and beyond in the Holy Bible, friends. Apart from that, Jesus also gave us certain specific indicators to look out for in the end times. He said that nations will rise up against nations, and there will be earthquakes in diverse places. We know building huge dams could lead to earthquakes, but how can wars correlate to earthquakes? It is purely a divine prediction, friends. In the recent times, when so much was happening around Israel, Ukraine, and Russia, there had been at least a couple of earthquakes in Afghanistan, which didn't get much media coverage. But I remembered what Jesus said. He also said that these are the beginning of sorrows, meaning things would get worse as time goes by. So it is important to know the Bible prophecies and observe the developments around us in a level-headed manner, not jumping into any hasty conclusions. But that is not enough, friends. If we want to secure our future and eternity, we should lead a godly life and accept Jesus as our personal Savior, whom God sent to redeem us all. Because at one point of our lives, we will be spirit beings. On the day, all our accomplishments and our accumulated wealth that gave us a false sense of security cannot help us. Only God's grace can. May God help us all to make the right choices now. Thanks for watching.